Hi, today is Thursday, the 23rd of April, and I wanted to check in again and share some thoughts about what's going on right now, how we're all feeling, how we're all dealing with it, and what we can focus on, how we can manage a little bit better. And also, I pulled a card, and so I was going to do a card reading. And the card reading is basically the question was, why am I feeling so awful right now? Because I think that there's a lot going on in the collective energy at the moment that maybe we don't quite understand. So we're feeling a bit like out of sorts, and we're having really emotional days. I have heard a lot of people refer to the way that they're feeling as a bit bipolar. So one day they're totally fine and they're all happy and content in their routine, and they're feeling quite safe and inside their little shiny bubble, and then the next minute they are all over the place and they're complete emotional mess and bawling their eyes out or screaming at whoever's nearest to them, or shouting into a pillow if there's no one there. And I think that's something that we can all relate to right now, is that we're feeling overwhelmed by what's going on. It's nothing like this has ever happened to us before, and so it's very hard for us to navigate it and to make sense of our emotions and to stay calm and collected and grounded while there's so much turmoil in the world. And we're all dealing with different struggles. Maybe we've got children at home and we're having to homeschool them, and we've never spent quite so much time with our children, and having to entertain them constantly and also manage their emotions is hard when we've got our own stuff going on. So we're trying to protect them, and yet we've got all of these fears in our head, and our children are picking up on that. And it's really hard when to have to pretend you're happy all the time, so that you're supporting the people around you when inside you're not happy at all. And so that's tough. And then there are people stuck in relationships that aren't healthy, and things are intensified. It's like having all of the problems in your relationship are now under a magnifying glass, and it's like there's no escaping from it. You're in the same space. And you're faced with your other half in all of their nakedness. And if it's a problematic relationship, then that nakedness isn't necessarily a good nakedness. It's an ugly nakedness. It's a nakedness that's going to trigger you, that's going to upset you, that's going to provoke you, and that can lead to you feeling even more isolated and alone than perhaps you were previously. And then there's worry about friends and family, and wondering what's going on for them, missing them, not being able to see them. And then if you've got problems in those relationships, those things are also intensified, and maybe you're feeling them more acutely right now. Or maybe this quarantine period has highlighted problems that were in those relationships and made you look at them in a different way. And so maybe you've realized, maybe that's not a relationship I want to pursue in the future. And then there's a certain amount of grief surrounding that has to be dealt with before you can just cut the cord on that relationship. Although in a weird way, the cord has been cut on a lot of our relationships at the moment in the physical sense. And keeping in contact with people, over the internet or with phone calls. Some people are doing that and they're doing it regularly, and it's bringing them great comfort, but other people haven't been able to do that because the people in their lives that they want to see, that they want to be in contact with, are still too busy, so they don't have time for phone calls, they don't have time for Zooms or chats or Skype chats, and so that can be difficult to navigate as well, and can bring up a lot of feelings inside. So, there's all of that stuff we're dealing with, and then there's the stuff that's going on in the outside world, and the things that are in the news and the media, and the things that aren't in the news and the media, but that are going around on the internet, about, the reality of right now, what to expect in the future. Is this thing just going to cycle through now in the next few weeks? Or is it going to go on and on, or is it going to kind of die down a bit and then come back in the winter? is this going to be just the one cycle that we're going through right now, or is it going to keep coming back for the next few years or every year? Is there going to be another virus, after this one that's even worse? Is this just a practice run? There's so many different theories and thoughts out there that it's overwhelming, and we have to be careful how much we allow ourselves to absorb of this stuff, and also where we get our information from, and keeping a balance. Really, it's like we need to know a little bit, but we don't need to know too much. We don't need to constantly be looking at the news all day, every day. I think unless you're really strong and resilient, and unless you're used to doing that every day anyway, then it's tough, and it's perhaps not the best idea for you. If you're not used to looking at the news at all and keeping up with it, then, minimum amount probably, do it in bite-sized doses. And just dip your toe in and then take it straight back out again, and don't go back in again for another couple of days, and try and manage in that sense, and try and ask maybe ask friends or family who are in the same country and location as you, to just keep you posted on things that you need to know, so that you don't know everything, but you have the information that you need in order to stay safe and to know what you are and aren't allowed to do right now. So that would be my advice. I guess understand also that there's a lot of stuff going on out there, and there are a lot of people reacting in very, very intense, extreme ways at the moment. And if you're a sensitive person, then you're going to be picking up on that, and you're going to be feeling it. And before this happened, if you're a sensitive person or an empath, and you'd pick up on the energy out in the world, it would still, for a lot of people, be unnerving, and you may be confusing. You wouldn't necessarily understand at first where that feeling was coming from, and you'd think, is that me? Am I feeling angry today? Am I feeling sad today? And then you'd realize, no, it's not. It's the energy of the other person in the room with me, or the general energy of the town today, or the city today, or something. Or you'd realize that, some kind of like crisis had happened somewhere in the world, and that's what you were feeling without even knowing that the crisis had happened. And I think it's difficult at the moment, because it's like we're not out in the world, we are not interacting with other people. Most of us are not going out at all. Some people are going out to do the necessary things like shopping, but a lot of people aren't even doing that. People are either ordering in, or the other person in their household is doing that for them, so they have no contact with the outside world. And it's hard to understand, when you have no contact with the outside world, where are all of these strong feelings coming from, because you're not seeing them, you're not touching them, you're not feeling them personally like you're used to doing in the past. It's like they're there, you're feeling them inside your body, but you've got no context, nothing to attach them to. And I think having an awareness of the fact that it's not necessarily you. So check in with you and ask yourself, okay, I'm feeling sad today. Why am I feeling sad? Is this sadness to do with me? And then if the answer is no, this sadness isn't to do with me, because I was perfectly fine half an hour ago, or several hours ago, then question, okay, so I'm feeling sad. What is happening perhaps today outside that's making outside sad, other people, the collective sad, that's feeding it to me? And then you can find an explanation for it. And if you don't want to find an explanation by actually looking and finding out what's going on in the world, then just allow yourself that understanding of, like, okay, this isn't my grief, that's a collective grief, and so maybe I can sit and meditate, or do some self-healing, or dance it off, or do a yoga practice or whatever, but maybe I can ground it somehow and discharge it from my own body. And then having the awareness that when you are doing that, each time you get rid of that feeling, you kind of like, I want to say vomit, but it's not a particularly pleasant term, but each time you kind of allow that emotion to come out of you in a great roar. So whether you're crying hysterically, or singing really loudly, or shaking like mad, or doing a really difficult yoga pose, and your muscles are all going, whatever you're doing in order to discharge that energy, know that you're doing that for the greater good. And every time that you do that, that you exorcise that emotion, you are healing the world, all the other people to an extent. And the more of us that do that, the more healing that we can share, the more power we all have. So it's like coming together as a collective to heal the collective energy. So it's not just our own personal work that we need to be doing, it's like the collective work that we need to be doing. We need to be doing this healing work on behalf of the people out there who do not know or understand these things, to offer, you know, whatever support we can. So that's my thoughts on that matter. Okay, so then I pulled a card, and the card was basically the focus of the question was like, why am I feeling so crappy today? Yeah. The card, this is a card I don't ever like to pull out of the tarot deck, okay, personally. And I think when I'm doing readings for other people, I'm not so against and anti this card. I think it's a great card, but it's a card of change, and it's a card of transition, and it's a tough card to navigate through. So it's kind of, it's a good card, but it's tough love, it's not soft love. So the card was the Tower, and I know it's back to front, but you can still see the picture well enough, and get the general gist. And yeah, it's the Tower card. So whenever you get this card, it basically means everything is falling apart, everything is falling down, burning, it's all crumbling, the whole world, like, you know, your tower of security, your home, it's all like, look, it's under attack. It's like there's storm, lightning, fire, people are falling out of the windows, they're committing suicide, jumping to safety, and it's perched on top of a mountain, so it's a long way to go. And so yeah, when I've had this card in the past, it's never been a welcome sight personally, but I thought it was a really good answer for the question, because, you know, the world is in a sense falling apart around us. The world as we know it is crumbling. The world as we know it is gone. It will never ever be the same again. You know, we have all gone through a massive shift in our reality. Yeah, it's like we felt we were safe before. You know, there were little viruses out there, and little kind of like, you know, fears and I can't think of the word right now. It's not epidemics. Okay, so there were epidemics before, with SARS and Ebola and, you know, things like that. But there was never anything en masse in the whole world. So a lot of us never had to deal with it before, and we certainly never had to deal with it in a big, scary, real, oh my God, this is outside my front door and it could even come inside my front door kind of a way. And now now it's here, you know, and it's like every time one person from the household or the person who's living in the household goes outside, they run the risk of bringing it back into their house again, you know, on their body, inside them, and becoming sick. And so, you know, we're never going to feel quite so comfortable and secure as we did before, or at least not for the foreseeable future. I mean, nobody can say what will happen, so we don't know. So, yeah, and I'm just looking at this card now, and I'm actually really struck by the fact that there is a crown on the top, yeah, which seems quite apt with the coronavirus. There is a crown on the top, and the crown is toppling. You know, so in the card it's like, the kingdom is falling down, the kingdom is falling apart, but I can also look at this card in light of today and see it as a kind of like the virus, the crown, the corona is actually setting fire to the building. The corona is the lightning strike, the corona is the thunderstorm. The corona is what is burning down the building, and this tower is a bit like like in the Twin Towers. And I'm thinking of the Twin Towers, and I'm thinking of the people jumping out of the building and committing suicide. And it's almost like that was like the last truly shocking thing that happened in our lives. Other things have happened obviously since, but that was the thing that shook the whole world en masse. It was like truly shocking. And this is, you know, the next truly shocking thing that has affected all of us, not just one portion of the world or society. And so this coronavirus is basically, it's like the emotions that are being felt by everybody in the world are similar to those after 9/11. After 9/11, we were all so shocked. We were in shock that anything so horrific could happen, that people in our world could hate other people in our world that much that they would fly a plane into a building and kill that many people. And not only would they do it once, but they would try to do it again and again. And then, since then there was the birth of terrorism in a new way, and we have lived in fear of that ever since. And I guess, a useful thing to do is to think back and go, well, okay, when that happened, when 9/11 happened, we were all really scared. We were scared to go out. We were scared to be in public. Every time we were near someone with, a backpack on, we were like completely freaked out, like, oh my God, have you got a bomb in there? I remember, because I was living in central London at the time, and I remember feeling really apprehensive. And there were like snipers on the roofs everywhere near where I lived, because I was living in the heart of the city, in the financial district. And so we were always being watched, and we knew that, well, there was always a threat of something horrible happening, because, their army were on the roofs with guns, and the Secret Service trying to protect us. So, well, they wouldn't be there if there wasn't a huge threat. And so, life was a bit scary for a while, and I didn't travel on the tube for a year, and I walked everywhere, even if that meant walking 6 hours that day. And I'm not joking, I literally would walk 6 hours if I needed to get to a meeting and then back again. And it was tough, and it was different, and I personally went through a lot of anxiety in that time, and I had a bit of agoraphobia, and I couldn't go out, and I struggled to fall asleep, because my sense of trust with the world has completely shifted, and my feelings about humans and it was, everything had been threatened. And I feel like right now is the exact same thing is going on in a different way, but also in a similar way. And so this card is kind of saying, yeah, that's why you're feeling a bit out of sorts right now, is because your world has crumbled, your world has been attacked, and everybody's bailing out of a burning tower, but nobody knows where they're meant to go yet. Like, where are we meant to live? Yeah, where is the safe place? Where is the new kingdom? And for us to live inside. We're all out in the dark at the moment, in the wilderness. And I think, the message here is, we don't all want to be just jumping out of the building willy-nilly and, killing ourselves emotionally, energetically, not literally. We need to be sane and sensible, and adult about this, and we need to kind of look at it in a really mature way and in a really calm way, and think about how we can move forwards from here and create a new life, a new world, a new vision, because this is happening and there's no escaping this. It's happening. Any time you look at the news or social media, you can see it's happening. There's no avoiding it. As much as we want to avoid it, as much as we want it not to be there, it's there, and there is no escaping it. But what we can do is we can, in our own individual small ways, or collectively as groups of people who are similarly minded, we can talk about, we can vision board, we can imagine what we want the new world to be like, the future to be like, and build it ourselves. Because the other card that came out at the same time was the devil. So it's a very interesting reading, this reading. And I think if I was doing this reading personally for a client in front of me, their first reaction might be to start crying or screaming hysterically, or to freak out, because it's not necessarily the reading that you want to receive on a personal level. But I think on a collective level, on a world level, it's okay, and it makes a lot of sense. And it's basically, this card is telling me, okay, this is the threat hanging over us right now. This is what is in control and has been in control for a long time of the world, and this is what has caused this to happen. It has caused the crown on top of the castle of our world to topple. And as a result, everything else is crumbling. It's like the head has been cut off and then the body is dying. And then this card is the threat. It's the threat to our existence. It's this angry, emotionless, apart from the anger, but like this discompassionate entity, this cold being that cares only for itself and power, a bit like kind of like Hitler almost, and with the raised hand and the fiery stick, and it's just this vengeful, wrathful God is there trying to take charge, and that is why this is happening, and the people are chained, and they're like his pets. They're chained to his altar, and they're just doing as they're told, like his pets. And I guess in a way we are like his pets right now. We kind of like, the world has been in turmoil for quite a few years now. The world has been in turmoil for many years, but especially like the last few years, like politically especially, it's just felt like madness. Like where did all this crazy come from? How did these people get voted in, and why are they doing what they're doing? And how are they not thinking more clearly and caring more deeply? And it's just been crazy, and we've all had to go along with this. We've had no power. Like things like in England with Brexit. I mean, like, how the heck did that happen? I'm at a loss. I don't get it. I don't get why in the world we live in, people suddenly turned against each other in such a fierce way. And the animosity and the anger and the hatred that was being thrown out there, and it was just horrible to see and to hear about. And poor like little children getting bullied in schools because they were like European, and people being bullied at work for the same thing, and people having to leave and losing their jobs because they would come from different countries to work in England. And it was all a complete and utter mess. And the reason why people voted for Brexit got completely messed up and turned on its head. And it just allowed this huge wave of racism to just take over the country. And anybody who was a bit of a closet racist just came out, and it was okay and it was acceptable to be like that. And the things like that happen because like the people that are in charge they're not thinking clearly. They are, I don't know, they have another agenda, and that agenda is confusing to me because I'm not a political person. I do not follow the news very often at all. I have not followed the news since 9/11, or since the terror attacks in England actually. It was just like, I was like, right, enough, I can't take it anymore. It's just too much emotionally for me to carry. I'm too sensitive to be dealing with that on a daily basis, with the fact that every time you show up and watch the news or read the newspaper, it's all fear, scary, grief, anger, and I'm like, I can't be, I can't be giving space to that on a daily basis. But recently with the whole Brexit thing or whatever, I was forced to give a bit more space to it than previously because it affected my life in a really big way, and my other half was really caught up in it and really emotional about it and really worried about it, because of the way that it would impact our lives, and so I have an awareness of the fact that the world has been a bit wonky for a while, and the shift, there's been a shift in power and leadership, and it's kind of like gone in the wrong direction from my point of view anyway. I would like to see more people in charge who cared about elderly people, who cared about children, who cared about animals, who cared about vulnerable people, who prioritized things like that, who prioritized things like the arts and community, as opposed to weapons and power and oil and 5G and stuff like that, and consumerism. These are not things that I personally prioritize, and I think a lot of us have realized that recently. Being in quarantine, and we've been limited as to what we have access to, and so a lot of the stuff that we would do or buy or use, we're not buying or using right now. And if we are using stuff and then it's running out and we're not being able to replace it, so I think we're kind of like fine-tuning our lives and realizing, oh, I don't need that actually anymore. I can kind of cut that cost from my budget. I don't need to use that product. I don't need to eat that food. I don't need to go to that gym. I don't need to buy those clothes. I don't need to have that membership for that, or this membership for this, blah, blah, blah. And so I think we will come out of this with a different relationship to consumerism. And I think we'll be thinking more deeply before we make a purchase. We won't just be buying things willy-nilly. And so that's a good thing, I think, moving forwards. But what we do need to bear in mind is that, okay, so this is why I'm feeling so crazy right now, essentially, because the world is changing and it feels like everything is falling apart. And this is why the world is changing and why it feels like everything is falling apart. So we've got that, and that's cool. And so I think maybe the most useful thing would be if I pull another card with you right now to ask, okay, so how can I personally best move forwards in order to best serve the world? So shuffling the cards. And I shuffle the cards and I wait till one falls out. And this is interesting. I love cards. I love them. They are amazing. They never ever fail to amaze me. So, okay, I did a reading. I think it was either yesterday or the day before. I can't remember. And this was the card that I read, the Chariot. And it was about like what can I focus on right now, and how can I best move forwards and act today. And the same card has come up, the Chariot. So that's really interesting. And my reading of this card was essentially, it's like, okay, so we are leaving the kingdom behind. Yeah, there is this beautiful kingdom in the background with a golden sky, which is like a golden shiny bubble of protection, comfort, home, security. It's like the little shiny bubble that we live in, the kind of like Christmas card kind of like vision of the world, that we don't necessarily live inside of it completely, but we do kind of like bubble our reality so that it's safe and comfortable and cozy to live inside. And maybe we bubble that reality by buying stuff. Maybe we bubble that reality by eating in a way that we shouldn't, or watching too much, kind of comfort TV. So it's like we are leaving that bubble reality, and we are riding forwards into the night. Yeah, the night sky is on the back of the Chariot. And the fabric, and it's like, so we're riding off into the night, but it's a starry sky, and we look really serious and somber, and we're a bit red-faced, and our eyes are a bit red, like we've been crying, we've been grieving, we're saying goodbye, and we're upset, but we're standing strong, and we're standing tall, and we have our wand in our hand, and we're wearing we're wearing clothes that are kind of like mystical looking, and they've got like special symbols on them and everything, and talismans. So it's a very powerful outfit. It's a very spiritual outfit. It's a very like kind of third eye outfit, and also throat chakra outfit. It's like it's got the two colors combined in it, and lots of yellow for the solar plexus. So it's all about trusting our intuition and the feelings that we're feeling in our gut. And then it's about allowing those feelings to rise up to our throat and speaking our truth, yeah? So not speaking the truth that we feel like we're supposed to be speaking. We're speaking the truth that is our truth. What am I feeling? Okay, I'm going to share that no matter what the consequences. I am going to speak my truth. And then allowing that the messages, the images, the guidance from your third eye to then come through, to give you peace and calm and really, really, really clear vision. And so we're traveling forwards, but we have a choice to make. As we journey, we have a choice to make, and that's the really important thing about this card. We have good, evil, light and dark. Who do we want to pull our chariot? That is the choice that we have to make. Who do we want to give power to? Do we want to give power to this chap, the dark? Or do we want to give power to someone else? Someone better? Someone brighter? Someone lighter? Someone essentially, who could be more powerful if we stand behind them. And I think that's what we need to focus on is, okay, how can we channel power into this possibility, into this eventuality, into this future? There is no clear leader out there at the moment who is speaking from here. Although I do have a little bit of hope about people who were previously like this person to me, but might be a little bit of this person too now, and that's encouraging. So who knows? It's like we are all transforming at the moment. We are all going through a rebirth. Like, I think a really, really big, powerful rebirth. It's like we have been sent to our rooms. Sent home. Can't go out. Lock the door. Don't go outside. Not allowed to go anywhere. All you can do is go outside to get food. Yeah? So you're allowed to eat. You're allowed to have your dinner. But that's it. Nothing else. Can't go to the park. Can't go to the playground. Can't go to the shopping centre. Can't go to the cinema. Can't go into the art gallery. Can't go and watch a football game, can't go to a concert, can't go to a disco, can't go to a bar, can't meet anyone, can't hook up with anyone, start a new relationship, make new friends in that respect. It's like, all being sent to our rooms and told to shut up. And if we go outside, we have to put a mask on. Muzzled. Not allowed to interact, not allowed to talk. You're muzzled. You are submissive, yeah? You're going out apologetically, creeping around, getting your few supplies really, really quickly, really, really quietly. Don't want to bother anyone because, hey, I'm scared of you and you're scared of me. And if anything kicks off, we're all going to get arrested and in big, big trouble and have big fines anyway. So let's all behave ourselves and be good little sheep and go home and stay in our rooms. So we're staying in our rooms and we're being good little sheep, but we're thinking and we're feeling. And the world outside is really different. It's like you open the window and it's silent. And if you live in the middle of a city like I do, I live in the middle of a city. It is never quiet, ever. Yeah. And it's like normally you open the window and black stuff comes in and you have to in the room that you open the window and you have to clean the black stuff away every single day. And that sounds really gross, and it is quite gross. I live in a really lovely country. I live on a beautiful island. It's just there's too many people, too much traffic, too much tourism. The kind of like in tourist season, and tourist season is now all year round here, and it never used to be like that. So the island is just overly populated the whole time. There's too much kind of like movement in that respect. It's like too many people are allowed in at once. It's not monitored, and so it's not structured in a way that the island can cope with. It's too much. So there's too much pollution, and there's too much noise, and there are too many people in one place all at once, and it's not really fun for anybody. It's not fun for the people that visit, and it's not fun for the people that live here. But at the moment, when there is limited pollution. There's like no noise outside whatsoever. It is silent all the time. And if I hear a noise, I'm like completely hypervigilant. Like, what's going on? Why is there a noise? Panic, fear. If I hear the street cleaners cleaning, I'm like, oh, is this like disinfecting like they're doing in China? Or is this like a normal street cleaning? And one doesn't know, because stuff is going on while we're sleeping and while we're not looking, and they're putting 5G towers up everywhere, and but anyway, that's another point. I won't go down that little rabbit hole. The point I wanted to make here is that it's different outside, it's silent, and that's eerie, and so we're stuck inside and we're all comfortable, but we're claustrophobic and we haven't got contact with the outside world, and all of this scary stuff is happening, and so it's kind of making us think in a way that we've never had to think before about things like this. We've never really, most of us, unless we've been through one of the past epidemics, and lived in one of those countries where that's happening, and the people that have had to go through that before, I mean, God, we can all sympathise with them massively now, because we've had that experience as well. And I think we've got a new understanding of a new level of empathy and compassion for other people who maybe we didn't kind of feel that connection with before, but now I think we're all much more united and connected as a whole, which is a really positive thing. But so we're going through this kind of like rebirth, because we're having to look at ourselves really closely in the mirror for the first time in ages, because we can't run away anymore. It's really hard to run away, because most of the things we ran away to have been taken away from us. Okay, yeah, we still have Netflix and Amazon for the time being. As in, like, they're not making many new programs at the moment, because they can't go out and film them, so it's like, so we have them for the time being, but I mean, they're gonna, depending on how long this goes on for, they're going to change, and have to like come up with new ways of keeping going and providing us with content. And we have the internet, and so we have some form, and music and books and stuff, we have some forms of escapism, and we can sit down and do a creative project, or we can I don't know, like do our work, or start a new hobby and stuff like that. So we have some things that we can do to occupy ourselves, but the thoughts are going to come through, because there's not as much noise going on anymore. We're not distracted in the same way. It's like, if you go out of your house and you interact with the world, you are big time distracted, because there is so much going on, and it's so busy and it's so noisy, and so it's very hard to just stay trapped inside your own head and cycle those thoughts and feelings. But when you're stuck at home and it's so quiet and so still and so silent, and outside is so quiet and still and silent, it's like you can't run away anymore. So you're faced with what's going on in the world and how you feel about that, but you're also faced with all of your own stuff, the stuff that you haven't dealt with, all of your past traumas, from your life up to now, and it's all kind of like coming up. And I think, that's really overwhelming, and it's really difficult, and it's painful, and some days are good days and some days are really, really bad days. But it is a beautiful opportunity to just purge everything. Just get it all out now. Purge it all, and use this time while we're in quarantine as a home retreat. So feed yourself beautifully, treat yourself beautifully. Exercise. Take long baths or long showers to just cleanse and detox that energy, and just let it all flow through you. Sleep well, sleep deeply, meditate, dance, do some yoga or some other physical exercise that helps you to deeply and strongly connect to yourself. Listen to your body, feel your body, move in a way that serves your body. Get to know your body again in a way that you maybe have lost touch with. Speak to your body, hug your body, soothe your body, comfort your body. Just really reconnect, and when the emotions come up, let them come out. Cry, scream, laugh, just let it out, because this is the way to healing. And each time you let another wave rise up and you deal with it, and then you get it out, then you come into calm seas again, and you're ready, and you're preparing for the next wave as it rises up. and then you go down into calm seas again. And as we go through this, up and down, up and down, up and down, we are healing. So each time we hit a wave, we're a little bit healthier and a little bit stronger and a little bit more resilient than we were by the previous wave. And we keep riding these waves, riding these waves, riding these waves. And by the time we emerge, we will be so different. We will be transformed. We will be strong. We will be capable. We will be formidable. And we will be united with one another in a way, that much, much deeper way than we ever were before. Because we will have something in common with every single person now. Like, we've always had things in common, but we will have something so real and so immediate, in contact with in common with every single person, that, you know, we will be able to walk down the street and look in someone's eye and go, yeah, I feel you. We went through that together. And I think we can come out of this stronger, braver, brighter, more purposeful, more useful than we went into it. And it's just a matter of staying sane, and sharing how we're feeling, with other people. Don't try and hide it if you're feeling a bit crappy, a bit shitty. It's like, it's okay, it's natural. And the people that are pretending that everything's okay, and, you know, oh, I'm so happy right now, just bear in mind that that's just what they're sharing with you. And maybe they are so happy right now, and maybe they haven't had a bad day, and that's amazing, and I am really, really happy for them. And, you know, probably a little bit envious as well. But not everybody is having that reality. And a lot of people that are saying they're happy and that everything's great, maybe they're not being entirely honest with themselves and with other people. And, you know, it's like on social media, people only present the best side of themselves, or a lot of people only present the best side of themselves. And I think that we should be more authentic than that. I think we should post our bad days as well as our good days, or else we shouldn't post any days at all, or we should only put neutral things out there, because I think it gives us a skewed view of the world. It's like, I know from my clients and I know from my friends that, you know, that people are having mixed experiences, and I know from, like, you know, the other people that I have listened to on, you know, podcasts and interviews, etc., that people are having really, really different experiences, but a lot of people are having really emotional experiences, and a lot of people are having really intense, challenging, and difficult experiences. And I think the more sensitive you are, so for highly sensitive people and for empaths especially, for people that have always found it a bit difficult to be here, people that have always found the world a bit challenging, and that have had to, like, put effort into into just showing up and being happy and feeling good every day, just that's just how it is for them, because they feel too much. I think for those people, for those of us, it's especially hard and intense, and I just urge you to be kind to yourself, to have a greater level of understanding and patience with yourself. If you're having a bad day, don't feel bad about it. Don't feel ashamed about it. Don't compare yourself to someone else who isn't having a bad day, or who hasn't had a bad day yet, because it's okay to have a bad day. It's natural and normal to have a bad day, and I think more people are having a bad day than a good day overall. And so, you know, you are one of many. You are not alone, even if you feel like you are. So support yourself in whatever ways you have available to you. Reach out and connect with the other people that you can connect with, and you can share, you know, your true experience with. And if you don't have people that you know already to share your experience with, then try and find some. Try and find some people on Facebook, or, you know, the internet somehow that you can connect with. Maybe find yourself a therapist or someone that you can talk to. And, you know, I'm here as well. Also, if you want to book a reading with me or a therapy session, I do both. from my website, which is lemonrosepetals.com. You can find out more about me and figure out, you can contact me directly from there. And I will be happy and honoured to hold space for you and to help you navigate your way through this. And we can honestly share with one another, because it's like, I don't have all the answers and I'm not perfect and I am struggling too, but I can hold space for you and I can give you guidance, and I can be a rational other to you in that experience, in that time, and I can help you and offer you support and give you comfort, and I know that you'll feel better for that. So yeah, thank you for listening, thank you for showing up, and I hope that this helped you expand your mind a little bit today and find some comfort as well in the experience. So yeah, please subscribe to my channel and keep watching, because there will be more videos from this space. And please bear with me as well, because I've only just started doing videos, and this isn't something that comes naturally to me. It's like, I've always been very camera averse and camera shy before, and so I haven't kind of like done the whole video thing, or the social media thing, really, apart from to put out pictures of like maybe card readings or maybe my creative work. But I feel that this now, where is a time when we all need to like stand up and rise up, and I wanted to put my voice out there, because my voice is my sword, my voice is my wand, my voice is my power, so if my voice can be of service to you, then that's it's a worthy challenge for me to overcome, if I can be of service to you and be of comfort to you and of help to you. And obviously the more I show up and the more I do this, the easier it will become. So yeah, but like, just bear with me if it's all a bit rusty and a bit wobbly and a bit, this is something that I've just kind of jumped into without having any equipment or anything. So I'm just making do with what I've got, so that I can be of service right now. Because I think being of service right now is more important than waiting until we can start and do everything perfectly. And it's only my words that you need to hear. It's not, the beautiful setup or whatever is just irrelevant. That's all part of an old world, and we're moving into a new one now, where anything goes, and where we should celebrate one another for just showing up and saying hello. So hello, and thank you for listening, and I will connect with you here next time.